Welcome back to the Play Action Podcast with Brock and Brennan. We are here to recap. I mean, it was a crazy weekend of football. What did you think, Brock? I mean, it was exciting one. It was freaking awesome.
Yeah, there's those two great time frames, the 1:30 time frame, 3:30 Eastern, and then 7:30 Eastern.
Yeah, you had to be locked in. You had to be locked in because it was like three of the ranked matchups were at one time, and then the other three were at the other time. So it was like you had to have the phone out, the tablet. You know, you had to be streaming for all different angles. But you know, it was everything we could ask for. We got a thriller, you know, from a classic. From Ohio State and Notre Dame, kind of what we expected. It was a very physical game, and I was excited to see the end of that one. Kyle McCord coming through with that last drive there at the end. And should we just talk about that one briefly? I mean, did Kyle McCord, did he kind of prove the doubters wrong there?
No, not at all.
What?
I think, well, it was just like, I think I really wanted to see Kyle McCord tear apart a really good defense. I don't think he really did that.
Really?
Yeah. I think like he made plays when he had to, but it wasn't that high scoring game that I wanted to see from Ohio State. Yeah. Because, I know CJ Stroud didn't do it last year, but that's what CJ Stroud is known for. He's known for putting those points up against the big teams. Yeah,
it was like what, 19-16 was the finish? What was it? It was
the Notre Dame game was 17-14.
17-14.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty low scoring game. Didn't really tear apart the defense, but I think that it's more credit to like, hey, these are two like pretty legit teams. Because I think if you're Notre Dame, you shouldn't be too disappointed with that loss, and I think you still have a lot to play for.
Yeah. No, it's an interesting game. Ohio State obviously takes it because they really needed to be tested. Yeah, and they finally got tested, played really well. But for Notre Dame, it just makes you wonder if they're out of the playoff since they don't have the conference championship game. Like, I know it's a top 10 loss, but we've seen 11-1 Notre Dame get left out before. So it just means they got to play perfect the rest of the way, and that's going to be something to watch out for.
Yeah, I don't think they're necessarily out of it personally. I think if they run the table, they'll have plenty of wins under their belt, including USC. Who else do they play? They got
Duke this week.
This week. That'll be game day. So that'll be another, big one as Duke looks to be a pretty good team to add to the resume, but also USC down the road. And, speaking of that, USC, it's starting to get scary with, some tougher matchups coming up from them because their offense and their defense didn't play as well as they need to be playing if they're going to, continue to win a conference.
Yeah. And I think that's probably just my concern though, with Notre Dame is that they got all these great opponents coming down the line. It's like going perfect through that is going to be a tough ask. Yeah. Especially starting with Duke this weekend and then USC later on. But, for the most part, I guess you can say that Notre Dame's still in it. I just think that losing Ohio State this early kind of eliminates you because just being perfect throughout the rest of the season can be tough. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about that last play? I mean, those last two plays, I know that there was, 10 players on the field for both those plays.
I didn't notice it watching it live. Yeah. It was something I saw after the game when everyone was freaking out about it, making posts. The fact that they got to stop with 10 players on the field is pretty impressive in itself. But the second one, it was always gonna be a tough ask. I think the thing that Kyle McCord needs to be credited for is that throw. Yeah. Was that fourth down? I think it might have been fourth down when he made that throw to McCord.
Oh, yeah.
To get him to the 2-yard line. Mm-hmm. That was a great throw. Yeah. That's the kind of stuff I want to see from Kyle McCord week in, week out to show that belief that I can have with him in this Ohio State offense. But, it's like when you got those receivers with Marvin Harrison, you got Emeka Egbuka, you got Julian Fleming, even Cade Stover. Did you see the clip of Cade Stover just absolutely throwing the defensive end?
No, I didn't know.
He went and checked him before he ran his route and just pushed him and absolutely threw him to the ground and then ran like a little 3-4 yard out.
Oh, really?
And then made the play.
Yeah. I mean, the receivers were there. Even, Marvin coming back after that injury, I thought for sure he'd be out of the game.
Yeah. And it's like they got the great running backs too and Trayvon Henderson. So it's like this Ohio State offense is primed to be really, really good. I just want to see it unleashed a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. Score more points. But I think we have the clip for
this is Marcus Freeman.
Yeah, this is Marcus Freeman being asked about the play, about the two 2 plays with 10 men on the field. So let's hear what he has to say.
Marcus, the film shows that on that last play, there were only 10 people on the field. Just curious what happened.
Yeah, we were trying to get a 4th D lineman on the field, and I told him just stay off because we can't afford a penalty. I didn't have any timeouts, right? So we couldn't afford a penalty there. You know, and yeah, it's on us. We've got to be better.
So they came out of a timeout. They were coming out of a timeout, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And he was just talking about was he just talking about the last play? Or was this the second to last play?
I think he was talking necessarily about both those plays. Well, I don't know. You can't be talking about both those plays because
for me, it's like, okay, how are you not prepared coming out of a timeout?
So it was Kyle McCord made the play to Emeka Buka to get it to like the 2-yard line.
Oh, okay.
They come up, spike it. Then they throw their offense out there. Notre Dame calls timeout. And then they run that first play with 10, stuff them. And then the clock's moving. Was there a second timeout?
I thought that they called a timeout there.
Well, I know they called the first timeout because they wanted to see what Ohio State was doing.
Yeah.
Unless like it was Ohio State spiked, then the timeout came, or then they ran the play, and then the second time they called timeout.
Yeah. It was just a scramble, and obviously, Notre Dame paid because that was probably the biggest play or 2 plays, of their entire career or of the season.
And something I want to obviously you don't think about this with the play happening, but I wonder if he should have just told somebody to jump off sides, take the half the distance to the goal.
Yeah,
not an automatic first down, but then at least it gives you a chance to get set. But obviously there's just no way you would think about that in the time. Yeah. But it would be interesting to.
Well, then they would get a free play, right?
Well, if he jumps offside and pushes the offense.
Oh yeah. Then they call it
the encroachment. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot going on at the time, so it's like they're not gonna think of that. But yeah, it was a crazy finish to that game. Super exciting. I'm excited to see how both these teams play the rest of the season because I see a lot of potential in Ohio State, and I think that Notre Dame looks like a great team as well. So props to both those teams. And let's talk about Colorado and Oregon.
Ooh.
Because the Buffs got exposed this weekend and the whole country was watching. Yep. So what are we thinking? Where's our head at? Is this what we expected? I know this is what you expected, but did you expect it to be this bad?
I didn't expect it to be that bad. I think in the preview I said, don't be surprised if they cover, but I didn't personally predict Oregon to cover that line. I thought it was going to be like a 17-point game. I thought they'd beat them by multiple scores.
It would be a blowout.
Yeah, I responded to that tweet that I put out earlier in the week and said, update, Oregon beat them by a ton of scores.
Yeah.
Which was...
it was pretty bad.
I said in the preview, you don't go up to Autzen and win. Yeah. It's so tough to go on the road. To go on the road in general and win, it's tough, but I didn't think they'd go up to Autzen and win. I didn't think they'd go up to Autzen and lose 42-6.
Yeah.
I thought Shedeur would put on a little bit better of a performance than he did, but I think this is really good for Colorado. I know they're not going to want to hear that or like to hear that, but I think this is really good for them because now everybody's expectations go from here to, to down here.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. They've had a lot of, pressure on their shoulders after these few weeks. Cause it's like, hey, you got to keep this train rolling or else everyone's going to be very disappointed.
Well, you got the whole nation watching now, and sometimes it can be really hard to deal with expectations. Like when they went into the season against TCU, there was 0 expectations. They're playing with house money.
Yeah.
Then, expectations roll up. They're like, oh, you got Oregon on the road. You got to be able to play and beat a team like Oregon on the road.
Exactly.
There's those expectations. Now they're going into USC at home with, I wouldn't say no expectations, but definitely less expectations than they had for Oregon. I think people are going to go in. A lot of the money that's going to be bet on this game is going to be bet in favor of USC, I think, especially after last week. So I think it gives Colorado a chance to pull what would be an upset.
Yeah.
I think people kind of assumed that Colorado would beat Oregon, or at least a lot of the casual fans did.
Yeah.
now I think they understand a little bit better about what Colorado is. Colorado's a great football team. They're missing probably, I think Deion even said it, a couple weeks ago. They're missing 7 or 8 players from being a legit team. It showed.
Yeah, that's a majority. That's significant. Yeah, 7, 8 players.
And that's what I expected going into the season. I thought if they made bowl eligibility, that'd be a great season.
Yeah.
I think looking back on it now, I think if they win 8 games, that's still a great season.
Oh, I absolutely agree.
It's like, they're going to play USC. They still got to play Utah. They still got to play. I think they got to play Washington too, if I'm correct. So it's like you got to play the 4 of the best teams in the conference. They got to play UCLA too. So don't be surprised if USC, puts another pounding on them. Yeah. I don't think it will be 42-6. But if USC beats them, maybe like 56-28, don't be surprised.
Yeah, let's talk. Let's watch a little clip about Deion. This is one that you sent me. It was
about Travis, right?
Yeah.
So this is the clip of Deion Sanders reading some text messages from Travis Hunter.
To you today. I need to play this week. We need to get everything we can so I can get back on the field. I'm not taking no for an answer. Who you think sent me that? How did you know that? Because what? No, you ain't ready, and I care about you more than I care about this game. You're going to change the game of football one day when you're healthy and ready. Your future is brighter than mine ever will be and ever was. Relax and get healthy. I love you, son. That was the conversation. I care about y'all more than I care about this game. But I want you to learn throughout this game and throughout trials and tribulations who you are.
Yeah, this was interesting to me. Yeah, I think he's right. And this is no disrespect to Travis or Deion, but if Travis plays this weekend, I don't think it's going to impact the end result of the game.
Yeah.
And that's not saying that Travis isn't, Travis is the best player on this football team. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Like when it comes down to it, I know quarterbacks are heavily talked about as, the players on the team. And Shedeur is a great player in itself, but the impact that Travis Hunter has on this team was felt against Oregon.
Oh, and we even saw that before the game. I mean, when he was announced out, it was like the swing of the line.
Yeah. So it's like if Travis plays this weekend, that's a big help to Colorado, and it would make the game closer.
Yeah.
I don't think that they win this week with Travis.
Yeah.
So
that's fair.
I think the way Deion's looking at it, and I think the way that all Colorado fans and the rest of the nation should look at it is rest up, get Travis back to 100% so that when you play these games down the stretch, you get 100% of what Travis Hunter is instead of, maybe 60, 70%, whatever he might be going in this weekend.
Yeah. And what does this mean for Oregon? I mean, on the flip side, that team looks scary. They look like legitimate contenders. Do you think they are the best team in the Pac-12 right now?
Yeah. I mean, when we did our preseason conference predictions, I picked Oregon to win the Pac-12. I don't know if they're the best team in the Pac-12 right now because Washington, I think you could make the argument, is the best team in the nation.
Ooh.
I know there's a hot take right there.
Yeah,
but
clip that.
But the way that Washington's playing football right now, it's Michael Penix is the Heisman leader. He's leading the conversation right now. He's the best quarterback, or he's playing the best football from the quarterback position in the nation right now. Caleb's playing great ball, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But for Caleb to win the Heisman, he's going to have to play better than he did a year ago.
Yeah, because they don't do back-to-backs very often.
Exactly. So I think Penix is leading the Heisman race. I think Washington overall is leading the nation as the best team right now. I think it's going to be interesting when they get tested against, Oregon in a couple weeks from now. So it's interesting for Oregon. They have not surprised me one bit. I'm not surprised by what Oregon's doing.
Yeah, they're killing it.
This is what you expected. You got a veteran quarterback, you got a veteran football team. This is what they do.
That's something to prove.
Yeah, and I think Dan Lanning's a better coach than people give him credit for.
Yeah, and he definitely had some words to say, about it was like, what was it? We're not fighting for clicks, we're fighting for wins.
Yeah.
All that, taking shots at Deion, and it was like, is he gonna make it personal? And it's personal, but Colorado wasn't able to go out there and get it done. They only scored one touchdown. Scored one touchdown and, got slaughtered. So, yeah, it was tough. I think a lot of people were preying on Deion's downfall I personally love the dude. I love what he's doing for the sport.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're gonna have to bounce back and make some adjustments moving forward because they dropped out of the rankings. They're starting to not look too great great at all.
Let's talk about this one.
This is his first year.
This is KeyShawn on the show that he's on. I don't even know what show he's on. His first take. Oh, this is Undisputed.
Yes.
So yeah, this is
year
KeyShawn.
At the Power 5 level. This is its first year. They're 3-1. We can't sit up here and act like it's all doomed. It's over with. They'll never win another game. That's not true. They played against an Oregon team that is better. There's a better football team.
Bo Nix played.
And you mentioned
Bo Nix played well.
You know, you were talking about the jealousy and the way these coaches and how Deion got there. This is interesting. You said that. I didn't want to interrupt you. I wanted to let you finish. So I spoke to somebody in the coaching fraternity right after the game. And they know some people that coach at Oregon. And they was telling me, they said, man, I've never heard from another assistant coach of how much information was being given to that staff about, I'm being real with it, about game planning against Colorado so they can beat them.
Everybody
was stacked. They was streaked.
Wow.
Why is he lying?
You think he's capping?
Why is he lying? No coach at another school. Let's be real here. No coach at another school was helping Oregon game plan. Stop it.
So you think he's trying to make excuses for Deion?
I don't know if he's making excuses, but I don't think Deion needs excuses.
Yeah.
I think Deion will flat out tell it how it is.
Yeah.
But come on. No coach that is hired at another university that coaches football
is going out there and
going out there and saying, hey, Dan, let me help you game plan this week.
Yeah.
One, Dan Lanning is a good enough coach. He doesn't need it.
Yeah.
No information that any coach could have given him is something he doesn't already know.
Yeah.
Like Dan Lanning is coaching at the highest level of college football. He doesn't need somebody else to game plan for him. He doesn't need any other information from anybody else. He doesn't need it. He coaches at the highest level.
It's true.
Number two, what other coach is sitting there calling Oregon saying, hey, you're going to need this information this week? That coach has his own game. He's got a game plan.
Exactly.
It's like,
if you could think of any, if it were to be any coach, I think it might be Colorado State. But even then, it's like, does he even care that much to the point where he's going to go out there, go out of his way?
Even if it is some other coach, Dan Lanning picks up the phone. They have a conversation for 5 minutes, and Dan's like, "Thanks," and hangs up.
Thanks. I already knew that. Thank you.
Like, come on. This is not two Pee-wee football teams going after. Be like, hey, last week number 12 played really good against us. You probably should defend him.
Oh, it's like, oh yeah.
It's
really,
it's nothing like that.
That's crazy.
Dan wakes up every morning. He goes and sits in his office and he turns on his film.
And he knows.
He knows football.
Yeah.
He coaches at the University of Oregon, the number 9 ranked team in the nation.
Yeah, and they got it done. So with or without information, they got it done. So yeah, you think that's just that's the outrageous take?
That is the most cap I've ever heard in my life.
He's fighting for clicks.
I mean, it's working, I guess, because we're reacting to it.
Yeah, exactly. So he's fooled us.
When I was watching this, I was like, "Stop it! That is the most cap thing I've heard in my life.
Outrageous."
But do with that information what you will. If you think that Oregon was really asking other coaches for information about Colorado, I guess you can believe that.
Do as you will.
But
do as you will.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So what is this? We got a little graphic.
So we got a little interaction here between Robert Griffin III, who I have a ton of respect for. I think RGIII is one of the goats in the game right now, in the announcing game. Yeah, because
he's entertaining.
He's got so much information. It's like, I think he's fun to watch, fun to listen to. But RG3 tweets a response to Danny Cannell. I apologize. I'm not familiar.
Danny Cannell.
But he says Coach Prime took over a 1-11 Colorado team, then got 47,277 fans to sell out their spring game, which was more than the last 9 spring games combined. I did not know that. That is interesting. Then he says, then sold out season tickets for the first time in 27 years, then knocked off number 17 TCU and started 3-0. You are just a hater. And then he says, zero hate here. RG3, where were you last year when Willie Fritz turned around Tulane from a 2-10 team to a 12-2 team and a New Year's 6 bowl win over USC? Or when Mike Elko turned around Duke from a 3-9 team to a 9-3 team? Or when Lance Leopold turned Kansas around? Why you only hop on this bandwagon? And then RG3 says, I got time, and posts a clip of him talking about Tulane when they played USC.
Oh, really? Because, he called that game.
Yeah, he did.
He called that game. So it's like, dude, do your homework, right?
This is my thoughts on here. And I'm sorry, Danny, I'm not taking your side on this one. I'm on RG3's side. First off, no disrespect to Tulane, Duke, or Kansas, but Tulane, Duke, and Kansas are nowhere near the hype level that this Colorado team has gotten.
Absolutely not.
And this Colorado team isn't getting all this hype from RG3.
Yeah.
Like the whole nation is giving this Colorado team hype.
Just look at the viewership. I mean, It's like dissing RG3 for talking about one of the main topics. And it's like, dude, just say you hate Deion for some reason.
Yeah.
For some odd reason. Why are you so bitter?
And it's like, RG3's talking about, like we said, the most talked about topic in the nation.
Yeah.
When Tulane went from 2-10 to 12-2, unfortunately, they were not the most talked about topic in the nation.
Yeah.
Like that's just the way it goes. Mm-hmm. I'm sure if Deion Sanders took over Tulane and they went from 2-10 to 12-2, he'd be talking about Tulane.
Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with Mike Elko and the great job that he's done at Duke. It has nothing to do with Lance Leopold and the great job he's done at Kansas. And first off, shout out to Kansas, 4-0 back-to-back for the first time since, the World War I want to say. It's been forever. So shout out to the work that, both of those guys are doing. But I don't think we need to take away from one man's success because they're being talked about more than others. You know?
And it just feels like he's just trying to start a fight that, I don't know. Who knows his intentions, why he's frustrated. Just like, dude, Twitter, you could tweet whatever you want, man. Why do you care?
Look, and I think with the Deion Sanders thing, I think people are frustrated about Deion Sanders because he's got like some people call it cockiness. Some people call it confidence.
I just think it's swagger.
I think it's swagger and I think it's confidence mostly.
Yeah.
And I think when Deion Sanders walks in the room, he's the most confident dude in the room.
And for some reason that just makes people upset.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So, I'm not necessarily, I'm glad Oregon won over Colorado over the weekend because I think people need to be realistic. And I think when people put unrealistic expectations on teams, it hurts the team overall, personally.
Yeah.
So I think, getting this Colorado team back to here, I think we're going to see a really good performance from Colorado this weekend. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they'll be able to get it done, like I've said previously, but I think overall it's gonna make this Colorado team better, which is gonna make Deion Sanders more Deion Sanders.
More Deion Sanders.
What I love to see.
We are totally here for. We are in full support of Deion Sanders here at the Play Action Podcast.
I do need to say one more thing though. I need Deion Sanders to be one of the big dogs because he will be unbearable, and I will love every single second of it.
Yeah, so. Totally agree. Should we talk about a little bit around the rest of the country? I mean, we talked about the 2 main games everyone was watching. Obviously, Utah got the win against UCLA in that ranked matchup. Both offenses were pretty slow. Utah's defense looked great. Mm-hmm. We both went to that game. Obviously, we're local to Utah. And then let's see, Penn State won a big one against Iowa.
Shut them out.
Iowa did what Iowa does, and they just didn't score. So that's what Iowa does.
And they unfortunately lost this game because their defense didn't score either. So
yeah,
if their defense doesn't score,
if their defense doesn't score, the offense doesn't score in the first place. So they rely on that defense to put up some points.
Yep.
Defense didn't put up any points, therefore they got shut out. Yep. And what was the other ranked? But the last ranked matchup,
we talked Alabama Ole Miss.
Yeah, Alabama Ole Miss.
Bama won. Did his thing.
Bama not looking like legitimate contenders in our opinion. I mean, they're just missing that quarterback position, and you know, Milroe looks better than
the other two. Ty Buckner and Ty Simpson and Tyler Buckner.
Two Ties.
I guess you can call him Ty. Yeah,
the Ties.
Either one.
He's looking better than the Ties, and Bama was able to squeak one out at home after losing one to Texas a couple weeks ago. Still, just don't look like contenders in my opinion.
Yeah, and what I think we talked about this last year. You know, rewind to a year ago.
Yeah,
when Ole Miss lost a close one to Alabama at home. I think we talked about how, like, what does this mean for Ole Miss? You know, Alabama's not looking their best, and they still couldn't beat them.
Yeah,
you know, come back a year around, Alabama's not looking their best, and they still can't beat them.
This one's different. They're on the road, but still, it's like it just goes to show that you're just the little brother. You're the little sibling in the SEC, and you know, we'll be waiting to see when that changes. But for right now, it just seems like it's going to stay the same. But yeah, anything else you got to say? I mean, we talked a little bit about Heisman. Cover the rest of the games. Yeah,
I do want to show a little bit of love to another game that we talked about a little bit.
Oh yeah,
the Oregon State Wazoo game.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Washington State looks the part.
They look great.
You know, Cam Ward threw for 400 yards again.
He's getting some Heisman talk too,
and I think he should. You know, I think he's up there with all the other Pac-12 QBs. You know, he's you can only play who's on your schedule. They beat a ranked Wisconsin at the time. Just beat a ranked Oregon State. So I know some people are weird about the whole ranked wins. I look at it as if you beat them when they are ranked, that is a ranked win.
Yeah.
I don't think the rest of the nation agrees, but you know, that's whatever.
I think maybe that's relevant after like 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you know, TCU's not a ranked team. They're not a top 25 team.
Yeah, sure.
Wisconsin's not a top 25 team.
Yeah, I still think Wisconsin's one of the better teams in the nation, though. So I will give them the respect on getting that win.
Yeah, but Wazoo, they look great.
Yeah, they're gonna. I think they got UCLA on the road this weekend, so that'll be another great test for them.
Yeah, it should be a great test, and it'll be interesting to see if anyone comes out of the Pac-12. You know, without 2 losses, because then we might be seeing a legitimate national championship contender from the Pac-12 again. I think there's only been 2 that have made the playoff in this era, correct?
Yeah, Oregon first year of the playoff.
And Washington.
And Washington a couple years later, yeah.
And only one has made it to the Natty. Washington got slaughtered, right?
Yeah, they played.
Who did they play?
I want to say they played Alabama. I could be wrong.
But yeah, it was one of those top dogs SEC teams. So, but I think that's going to conclude our episode. Yep. I don't even know how many episodes it's been, but this is the week 4 recap. We might be, I'm thinking maybe we do episodes more often. We kind of just like react to clips here and there.
Yeah.
Maybe just like 10-minute episodes daily or something like that, because I'm liking this new format. And we'll be back later this week at the latest to talk about week 5. But, you know, thanks for joining us. Make sure you follow the socials at the Play Action Pod. The links will be down below. And we'll see you guys later this week.